made lurid and false claims about the royal family, which played on her fears and fueled paranoia.
There is an audio recording that begins with 3 words: "Make the child look truly exhausted." That instruction, captured, traced, and verified, was the moment everything changed. Not just for the woman who gave the order, for the entire balance of power inside the British royal family. But before that recording was ever found, there was a father sitting in the dark beside his daughter's bed, listening to her breathe, completely unaware that his absence from the public eye was being weaponized against him in real time. William had canceled everything. Every engagement, every council appearance, every charity commitment. No explanation was offered. And in the silence, the media assumed the worst. But the real story had nothing to do with politics or protocol. It had everything to do with a little girl with a fever, a father who refused to leave, and someone cold enough to turn both into ammunition. The door he refused to leave. London's weather had turned sharply cold in early April. The kind of damp, bone-deep chill that moves through walls and finds children first. Princess Charlotte had been strong all winter, but this time the fever held on. It burned high enough to leave her pale and hollow-eyed, the usual spark in her expression replaced by a glassy exhaustion that frightened her parents more than they showed to anyone outside that room. William stayed. That was the whole of it. He changed out of his official clothes, sat at the edge of Charlotte's bed, and stayed. His hand rested on her forehead to monitor the heat. He adjusted her blanket when she shivered. He watched every breath with the focus of someone unwilling to miss the moment. Things shifted either direction. Catherine was there too, dark circles under her eyes, coordinating quietly with the royal physicians, while William served as the room's anchor. Outside those walls, his aides were fielding dozens of frantic calls from the press. His schedule, one of the most public in Britain, had gone entirely dark. No statement had been prepared because William had not asked for one. His reasoning was he leaned close and spoke quietly into the room. "Nothing matters more than you right now, Charlotte." He had no idea what was already being set in motion elsewhere in the palace. The opportunity someone else saw. While William watched his daughter sleep, someone else was watching his absence with entirely different eyes. The silence around the Prince of Wales was not a problem to be managed. It was a door left open, and within hours of his schedule going dark, that door was walked through with calculated precision. Through intermediaries and carefully placed leaks, a coordinated media campaign began pushing a single narrative. Charlotte was not simply unwell. She was seriously ill. The phrase "unusual medical condition" circulated across forums and then escalated into front-page language with a speed that no organic rumor achieves on its own. The photographs were what made it devastating. Old images of Charlotte from previous public appearances were retrieved, professionally edited, and redistributed. Her complexion was drained digitally. Shadows were deepened beneath her eyes. The effect in each altered image was of a child wasting away from something the palace was refusing to name. Social media amplified it within hours. By nightfall, the manipulated photographs had been shared hundreds of thousands of times alongside speculation about rare genetic conditions, failed surgeries, and royal cover-ups. The genius of the campaign, if cruelty can be called genius, was its dual function. It created public fear around Charlotte's health, while simultaneously suggesting that William and Catherine were hiding the truth to protect the royal image. It attacked the child and the parents simultaneously through the same fabricated images. Inside Charlotte's room, a trusted aide entered quietly and held a tablet toward William. The blue glow of the digital investigation ran through the night. IP addresses traced back through anonymous posting accounts, financial flows tracked through shell structures across multiple jurisdictions. The further they dug, the more organized the operation revealed itself to be. This was not spontaneous outrage. It was a constructed campaign with professional components, hired paparazzi, coordinated bot amplification, tabloid contacts with specific instructions about language and framing. The money trail required the most careful work. Payments moved through offshore intermediary accounts designed to obscure origin. But every financial architecture has pressure points, and the investigators found theirs. Converging transactions pointed toward a private trust with a heavily shielded beneficiary. A recovered email contained explicit instructions referencing Charlotte specifically. The language in those instructions used internal codes known only within the tightest circles of the palace. Then came the audio. A recording captured during a communications exchange between a senior operative and someone directing the campaign. 3 words delivered in a voice William recognized immediately. Make the child look truly exhausted. The investigation was over. The trail was complete. The source was sitting in a drawing room at the other end of the palace, probably drinking tea. Evidence on a table. The meeting took place in a small sitting room. William arrived with a stack of documents and set them on the table between them without preamble. He did not raise his voice. He did not open with accusations. He simply placed the evidence in front of Camilla and waited. She examined the pages with the practiced composure of someone who had spent decades navigating difficult rooms. She invoked phrases about royal image management, crisis preparation, protecting the institution from premature panic. William listened to all of it in complete silence. Then he played the recording. Her own voice filled the room. Sharp, specific, unmistakable. Make the child look truly exhausted. He began with the facts. Charlotte had a fever caused by the cold weather shift. She was recovering well. The situation had been ordinary, and the silence had been a father's personal choice. He delivered these corrections calmly and without defensiveness. Then his aide activated the screen behind him. The real images of Charlotte appeared beside the manipulated versions. Side by side, the difference was stark and immediately visible to every person in the room. Real Charlotte, rosy, full of life, taken in the weeks before the fever, against the doctored Charlotte, pallid and hollowed and designed to trigger fear. The room produced an audible reaction, a wave of stunned murmurs that William let run before continuing. He walked through the financial evidence, the offshore transactions, the instruction chain, the specific editorial directions given to paparazzi about how to present the images. He did not name Camilla in the first half of his statement. He did not need to. Every piece of evidence pointed toward the same origin, and the journalists in that room were experienced enough to read the map. His final statement was delivered directly into the cameras. His voice was level. His chin was raised. The message was unambiguous. A boundary had been crossed that no political consideration could justify. His family's truth and his daughter's dignity were not available as instruments of palace politics. That era was finished. He stepped down from the podium and walked out. Behind him, the room erupted. What followed? The newspapers that had run the manipulated photographs reversed overnight. Headlines demanding accountability replaced the ones that had generated fear. Outside the palace, protest signs calling for a public apology appeared among the flowers people had left for Charlotte. Inside, Camilla withdrew to her private quarters. The palace staff who had once moved carefully around her, influence now kept their distance with equal care, but for entirely different reasons. Her closest allies went silent to protect themselves. The reputation built over decades through patience and relentless image management collapsed in under 24 hours. A statement from the king's office confirmed she would temporarily limit her public activities. The language was diplomatic. The meaning was not. Political exile within the institution she had spent her life trying to center herself within. William returned to Charlotte's room that evening to find her sitting up, cheeks pink again, chattering about the strange dream she had experienced during the fever. He stood in the doorway for a moment, watching Catherine stroke her hair and listening to his daughter's voice fill the room with ordinary noise. The weight he had been carrying for days lifted slightly. Not because the battle was won, or the power structure had shifted, or the press conference had landed as intended, but because the small person at the center of all of it was sitting up, talking, laughing at her own dream. Later that afternoon, he walked with Charlotte through the garden behind the palace. No cameras, no prepared remarks, just the crunch of dry leaves and the sound of a healthy child. He leaned down and gently touched her hair, and the promise he had made in the dark 3 nights earlier came back to him. Nothing matters more than you right now. He had kept it, and the keeping of it had cost Camilla everything she had left. Was exposing everything publicly the right move, or a dangerous gamble that risked damaging the monarchy more than protecting it? And does a father's instinct to fight for his child make William a stronger future king, or a more vulnerable one? Drop your honest take in the comments. If this kept you watching, hit subscribe. The story of what is really happening inside this family is far from finished. William heard the audio recording of someone ordering operatives to make his daughter look truly exhausted. What would you have done in his position? Drop your honest take below.